How to get your car unstuck in the snow. There was not information on the internet about this, and it's some new techniques. So here we go. We're going to show you some new stuff. Let's talk about being stuck in the snow with your car that's rear-wheel drive. I learned two things yesterday that I want to tell you about. Number one is this. If your wheel is just spinning on ice, put this, coat basically both rear wheels with this windshield washer fluid. You could use antifreeze, but again, that's also dangerous for animals. But if you use this, you know, if it's not minus 20 out, it's going to melt the ice and give you some traction. What's the difference between parking in the snow and leaving pretty quickly or parking in the snow overnight? Something usually happens. Sometimes there's more precipitation, or maybe the car settles a little bit. Maybe it melts the ice and snow underneath it, and it kind of gets down in this ruts, and then it hardens and freezes over, and so what you end up with is what you see where you're spinning. Try that using that water trick, that windshield washer fluid. It actually really works. It's quite a cool thing. In the next second, I was free. No problems. Be patient. Let the ice melt under the wheels. You might have to spin a little bit in order to get the ice dislodged. And then you're going to be free. So you might need one of these tools to chip away the ice also underneath the front wheels to make sure it's level. And the other thing I want to show you. For most cars, it has this. And this is something I found. Now, you've heard people tell you to turn your traction control off, traction control button here off. Matter of fact, they even say this in Jaguar forums and whatever. But this pertains to any car that's rear-wheel drive or even some front-wheel drive situations. Front-wheel drive would have what's called a transaxle. So it's a transmission and an axle with a differential built in. What's happening is this particular car has an open diff. Basically, it's a standard differential, and it means that if you lose traction on one wheel, you're going to lose traction, and it's going to spin just on that one wheel. It will not actually send power to the other wheel. The way it gets over that is by using the traction control button here. So when you have traction control on, it actually will pulse the brakes on that wheel that's spinning and send power to the other wheels so that you can get out. So in this car, it's absolutely imperative if you're stuck and cannot get out in a situation like that, then you turn the traction control on to get extra traction. It actually drives pretty good once it's free with snow tires. The car performs well in the snow. So be careful out there, guys. Now, when you're driving down the road, make sure that you absolutely leave it on. Leave your traction control on, because that will keep you going straight, and it will keep things like ABS going off and this kind of thing. So it's safer to drive with it on. But if you're trying to get out of a hole, also leave it on. When to turn it off? I really don't know in this car. Drifting, possibly, or if you're trying to do a burnout, maybe you would need it off then. Or if for some reason the car is depowering and you need extra power, I've heard things like if you're going up a hill and it's really slippery and the car is depowering, then you could turn it off. But this car does not depower very much. In other words, the engine RPMs, it doesn't depower the car very much. Now, I did have a car that depowered extremely to try to keep it from spinning. And this was the RX-8. So I had an RX-8 before this car, and basically you would not be able to even get inside of the garage. You would spin, not even spin, the car would depower, and you'd be full throttle, and the car would depower to keep it from spinning. It would depower all the way until basically it wasn't even doing anything. Your foot is full throttle, but the engine's not even going anywhere because it didn't want to spin. And in this case, it had a, what would I call that? A semi-positive rear end. So the rear end was a posi rear end, but it wasn't a locking diff, but it was a positive rear end. And so therefore, if you put the traction control off, you could spin both wheels and spin until you needed, spin as much as you needed to actually get in or get over a hill or whatever. So on certain cars, turning the traction control off is important, like the RX-8. But on other cars, it's what keeps the rear end from being open. So the rear end is actually still open, the differential's still open, but it actually keeps the rear end from just spinning away on one wheel. And it's actually quite awesome that I found this out, so I wanted to pass this on to you. By the way, there's no information about this on the internet, and that actually was kind of weird. People were saying exactly the opposite. Turn off the traction control. No, I do not agree, because then you're just going to have one wheel spinning. And I would say you should leave it on when you're driving too in the snow. Okay, I hope this helped. Thanks for coming along. I hope this helped you. Hey, please subscribe if you're enjoying, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.